What's up, everybody? Who it was? It's me, your boy JC. Out for a little afternoon walk. Get a little relaxation in. Try to get some therapeutic thoughts off my brain here. Mostly about our wonderful cards and dice hobby. Had a busy week at work. It's kind of derailed my exercise plans. I just didn't commit properly. Didn't have good sleep most of the week due to stress, and I had trouble getting up as early as I wanted to. So only got a couple walks in. Need to kind of restart that today and going into this week. Last week I worked before I get a week off for vacation, which is nice. And then when I come back from vacation, I basically start, I got a promotion, which is cool, but more responsibility, new location, really still not too much of a commute, about 10 to 15 minutes each way, so pretty happy about that. But yeah, so when I come back July 1st, I start the new role. So the stress is going to continue, but I need to commit to making sure I get my exercise in, take care of my health, and just stay busy. Still working long term on losing about 30 to 40 pounds. Broke even this week, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but definitely didn't eat super high quality, so going to try to clean that up more this week too. But it's baby steps, you know. Can't run from a you gotta just start slow and ramp up slowly. But anyway, been playing Strat with that Barnes & Noble set that I bought back on Memorial Day. So what is that, 3 weeks now? 3 weeks tomorrow, right? Am I mathing correctly? I think that's right. Yeah, that should be right. 3 weeks tomorrow. So I just played my 72nd game of the 2025 season and really enjoying it. I'm into the second calendar week, which is the first really full calendar week. Averaging 25 games a week is not bad at all. It's a pretty easy pace to keep for me, even with work and everything. So obviously I found time for that, but not the walking, right? So priorities, yeah, I get it. It was also brutally hot a few days. A couple days this week we had felt like 100 out, so it's not ideal to be walking in any kind of shape. Today it's in the mid to high 80s. It's a real temperature of like 87 right now, but there's a small breeze and a little bit of cloud cover. So the sun is very strong though because of the cloud cover. Always seems like there's more intensity to the sun when there's a little bit of moisture in the air. I guess it just I don't know how that physically works, but the sun's definitely strong today. But I got water with me, and just gonna get out for about a 2 mile here, and figured I'd share my thoughts as I walk around my little town. We're still working on these roofs over here, redoing the whole township with the roofs. We're all these are co-ops, which is kind of like a condo, except you don't own your property, you own a share of the town. So whatever, it works basically the same way. I like it here. It's pretty quiet. It's close to a lot of good. It's close to Red Bank, New Jersey. We're like adjacent to Red Bank, which, if you don't know, is a very good, like, artsy town. It's got good culture, good nightlife, good arts and theaters, and a great restaurant scene. We're also about 20 minutes from world famous Asbury Park, New Jersey. Yeah, so we have a lot of things to do in the area. It's one of the reasons I really like the area. And then I happen to be kind of off the beaten path here in a nice quiet sort of extended cul-de-sac, if you will. There's only 2 roads in this town, and Amazon's out. Yeah, I just like it here. I guess that's what I'm saying. But we're looking at moving to a more affordable area in the next few years, because it's pretty expensive over here, even in our small little place. Cost of living in Jersey is astronomical and only going up. So, but anyway, so 2026 is fun so far. The Dodgers are just too fucking good. Pardon my language, but I mean, they deserve the exclamation. That team is stacked. And Ohtani's just fun to play with. Just a great card, and he's got a pitching card in there as well, obviously. So I think he made about 14 starts or something. Interestingly, he's the only starting pitcher I've seen, and I think I've seen pretty much all the starters at this point from the 5-man rotations that I initially set up. And I think he's the only one with a point of weakness of 4. Which I guess reflects his real usage to an extent. So, you know, that's cool. Boy, it's hot out. Sun is strong. You know, got my hair cut today, so that's good. It was getting pretty bad. I'd been putting it off. Kind of cut across here because there's people hanging out on the sidewalk in front of their house over here, and I don't want to bother them. So, but yeah, and I started catching up on the stats. I've done the first 2 full days so far. I'm using the same website we're using for the 84 co-op project, cardandicebaseball.com, just because I like the entry, and it's less messy than doing it by hand. And I'm really enjoying not using a helper. I think that's one of the reasons that I've re-engaged with Strat-O-Matic so much. First of all, I'm playing basic the way I used to play it, which is modified. Talked about that last week with POW, catcher's arms, and a couple of very small house rules about, when I steal and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying just playing the game, scoring them on loose leaf like I did for a decade plus. Just feel more immersed in the games, more connected to what's actually going on in the league, more connected to the teams without the helper. Maybe just writing out the lineups beforehand every game, seeing the small variations in the lineups as I rest guys. It kind of feels more organic to me than just putting together the as-played lineup and entering stuff into Digital Diamond or Action PC or whatever. So, it's just got a good pace to it. So, and I'm really enjoying Strat, which is good news, because I was, I started with Strat. I played Strat for like 15 years before I tried anything else. I mean, more than that. I started with Strat when I was a kid, but then since I came back to the hobby with jumping into a bunch of replays like I talked about, I've only played Strat until 3 years ago. And then I discovered Payoff Pitch and APA, and finding out what those games offered made me not want to play Strat anymore, which I was sad about. But for whatever reason, this Barnes & Noble set, this seems to be a common thing in the community right now too. People who've picked up this Barnes & Noble set who maybe had gotten away from Strat, or maybe just weren't into playing modern seasons, right? I prefer to play like 60s, 70s, 80s. That's a lot of the community. There's always a nice little foliage over in front of this co-op here, in front of this unit. With a nice landscaping setup. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people who picked up the BNN set just to see what it was about are really enjoying playing with it. So that's pretty cool. So I can attest to that. It's reignited my enjoyment of Strat. It's reignited my enjoyment of keeping it simple and getting away from entering my results on the computer as I play, and it slowed me down and just really helped the tabletop baseball gaming become the escape that it's kind of designed to be. Like, you know, it's something I've talked about a lot, is what do you give up when you use the PC or use the helpers. For me, the PC was always when I play the games strictly on the PC, like when I played Strat PC, or even Action PC Baseball or whatever, it always detracted from the experience. It always eventually sort of devolves into a click fest. The only game I found that not to be true since I've come back to the hobby, and since I've branched out and tried things other than Strat, the only PC engine I like is and boy, it's very flawed, by the way. Let me just get that out of the way. But I really like the APA Baseball for Windows game. Could just be a nostalgia feel for me because I played a lot of that. Like, I didn't have Strat PC back in the day, even though I had Strat-O-Matic cards as a teenager. When we were playing baseball on the PC, I was playing APA Baseball for Windows, specifically with Ernie Harwell. So there's some things I really like about that program. I used to have the wizard for it, so you could import, I think, the Bill James Baseball Encyclopedia. You could import whatever players and teams you wanted to. You could sort of adjust the way they were normalized. There's a lot of things you could do with it. But it was also a really good money saver back when I didn't have a lot of money, a lot of disposable income to mess around with the hobby. So buying that one like $50 or $60 Bill James Encyclopedia allowed me to unlock everything from like 1876 to 1995, I think it was. So I played the hell out of Baseball for Windows back in the late 90s. When I was completely away from the cards and dice side of the hobby too, like that was my baseball game of choice. And I was always trying other ones, but the only one I actually completed replays in back then was APA Baseball for Windows. I like the advanced injury management system. I like the way guys get fatigued, and it was sort of my first introduction to usage, and sort of probably influenced the way I like to play the cards and dice games now, which is to say that injuries back then could be brutal. And even with the encyclopedia, we didn't have the internet like we have now, and we didn't have this wealth of information where you could even get down the rosters to the exact roster of the day if you use the appropriate tools. Like Digital Diamond has daily rosters that are pretty damn accurate. So it looks like we had a fallen tree down here. Had some pretty good thunderstorms lately. We have Digital Diamond now, like an Action PC, and even Strat for a long time now have had the day-to-day rosters available. But back then you didn't have that, so it was always like, you just kind of figuring it out and let the game engine dictate. But it was always frustrating because there never seemed to be enough guys to go around. In APA Baseball for Windows, there never seemed to be enough guys to go around if you enabled like full injuries. And guys would get injured randomly, but they would also, depending on what setting you put on, they could also get injured just because you played them when they were like a little bit tired, like not at 100%. which is pretty realistic, but super frustrating when you literally can't field the team because the injuries just, they're still being randomly generated. And if you're familiar at all with any kind of randomization, you know that some of the teams in your league, in your like 26 or 28 or 30 team league, are going to get the bad side of the random number generator, and you're going to end up with more injuries than you can reasonably sustain. And you could edit them. I mean, you were able to like use the wizard to take injuries off, or to reset injuries, or reset guys' usage. But still, it was frustrating, and I like to keep my gaming as unfrustrating as possible, even back then. So I always just kind of used the fatigue system without the injuries. And that's still more or less how I like to play now. That's what I'm doing with 2025 for Strat, is just getting guys the rest they need based on the solitaire player rest chart. And, making a new lineup every game as needed when guys have to come out. Which is a lot more like what Major League teams do, right? So even though I'm not playing lefty-righty because I'm playing basic, you still get plenty of player movement in and out of lineups. And it makes it feel, to me, a lot like a more real baseball season than if you just set your starting nine, or you just set your, like even if I was playing advanced, if you just set your versus righty versus lefty, and those are always the lineups, that's not realistic. That's not how, teams don't use 2 lineups. They don't even use 10 lineups. They use 100 plus lineups a season based on a lot of different situational factors. Some of it's optimization, some of it's fatigue, some of it's injury, some of it's just unforeseen life events. So I feel like I don't get the frustration. Like right now there's, I'm not using the extra players. I actually just ordered them with the coupon that came with the Barnes & Noble set. $6.25 with no shipping is awesome. So I figured I'd get the extra players. But it's more to have them. I don't really feel like using them. Because I don't like the way Strat cards guys. I don't like the way it gets complicated. I much prefer the way, there's 2 really good ways to do it. I think the modern APA way of carding everybody. How you doing? I think the modern APA way of carding everybody for the card sets is great. You get 1 card per player for their full season performance. And that's a solid way to go. And if you wanted to play as played, you can just make trades. And even if you don't want to play as played, you can still follow the trades and make your own lineups and do whatever you want. And it's super simple that way. I also like payoff pitch, the way they do it, where you have sort of a Strat variant, but without the BS, without the thing that ruins Strat, right? So payoff pitch gives you a card for each player on each team they played. So you'll have a card with wildly different performance. If, guy hit 350 when he came over to, a pennant contender at the end of the season. But, maybe he was on a non-contender through September, and all season long he hit like 270. So payoff pitch gives you both those cards. You have the 270 card, and then you have the 350 card. So you get the real impact of the player on their team. But they also have the combined cards, because what if you don't want that? What if you, like many people, what if you think that that's just variance, right? Or park effect or whatever. Right, so the guy's not really a 270 hitter or a 350 hitter. He's really a 295 hitter. He just happened to get all the luck in September when he got traded to that new team, right? So you have the combined card if you just want to use 1 card per player per season. So I really vastly prefer that way of carding things compared to how Strat does it, which is, really a fucking antiquated way of doing things, folks. Not for nothing. I love Strat. Like, I'm playing the shit out of it right now, but trying to do as played with Strat is crazy. Even trying to get realistic usage out of Strat. Sometimes, like, you might have one card. Player might have two cards if he was traded. One card for the team he had most of his time with, and then a combined card because he didn't have enough qualifying time with his second team. So you don't get a separate card for the 40 at-bats he had or the 12 innings he pitched with his second team. Instead, they just give me a combined card. Now, I know that reflects exactly what I'm talking about, variance, but like, why dictate to the player that you don't have that option? I mean, it's like, it must cost about, if you're talking retail cost, you're buying a Strat set with additional players, right? So, like, if I bought Strat set from Strat, it's like $80-something, and then another $25. It's like $110 for right around 1,100 players. So you're looking at 10 cents a card. And that's got to be a significant profit margin. I'm sorry. There's no way it costs them 10 cents a card to print. It probably costs 2 to 3 cents a card to print. So would it really hurt them that much to calculate out and print the additional cards for every player? I mean, people would probably play. So say the whole thing costs $125, an extra $15. If you love Strat and you want to play your as played in Strat, like, just give me every player, guys. Or even do what Replay does and release the extras in PDF only. Make me print them. But anyway, I've harped on this before. I didn't mean to get negative about it. I love Strat. I'm really enjoying it. But in order to enjoy it, I've deviated from as played. I've deviated from worrying about usage being pretty close. And I'm just letting the systems in the game sort of eyeball it for me. And taking that step back has just made it enjoyable again. Right? So, didn't mean to go on a negativity rant about it, but yeah, so that's what I've been grinding away on. I've been tempted to start a project on the side, like a single team replay or a different sport or something, but I've been resisting. I've been messing around a little bit with Out of the Park 27. Right now, just playing like the 76 Yankees historical just to get a feel for the game. And I'm enjoying that in very limited doses. I think I've only played 3 games this week. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. So I kind of want to get away from the historical with it and sort of do what Out of the Park does best, which is really get into like the management side of it. Maybe the draft league side of it or the what if side of it. But I've been reluctant to invest too much time in it because I know it'll derail me from my Strat game. So I'm just trying to keep that one project on the table, and then, when I'm tired, I just don't feel like rolling another game. I whip out of the Park, or I've even been playing, what's it called? You guys know video games at all. You've probably heard of Vampire Survivor. It's an indie game that came out a couple of years ago. And it's pretty fun. So there's a new version of that just came out. It was like $10. It's called Vampire Crawler, which is basically the same like roguelike concept, but in more of a dungeon crawler style. And there's no story. You can just kind of sit down and play a session, and the session ends when you quit or die. And every time you play, you unlock something new. You gain a little bit of experience. Maybe you gain a new card to play during your adventures, or a new power, basically, or even a new character. So it's I call that kind of a game like a palate cleanser, because I usually just play a quick 15-20 minute half-hour session. I don't feel like doing anything else, and it's engaging but doesn't like become obsessive, I guess. So yeah, so that's what I've been up to. My neighbor's been watering his lawn for like, I don't know, 8 hours. It's crazy. He really wants his grass to be green. That's my lawn. And our little turtle. Yeah, my wife's into ladybugs. Those are my barky puppies, which I don't think you can see in the window there. But yeah, we've got our flowers in our little place here. So, but that's it. I just wanted to get out, get some exercise, share some thoughts with you, and I'm going to go inside. I'm going to cool off, and I'm going to roll another couple of strat games. Since I just finished inputting the stats for calendar day 2, trying to do a day a week. Pardon me. Try to do one calendar day per real life day in terms of stat catch up, because I think I'm 6 games or 6 days behind now. So if I do that all week, roll 2 or 3 games a day usually, sometimes 4 or 5, and then spend an hour just doing stat input. I'll be caught up by the time I go on vacation next week, and then I can enter games in real time. Like every time I complete a calendar day, I'll just take an hour to enter the stats, and then I'll really be able to see the storylines. Like early on, you know, because the Dodgers started with Chicago in Japan last year, like a week before the actual season started. So Otani's got 3 homers in I believe 5 games already, or 4 games. No, it must be 4 games. So fun start for Shohei. And yeah, it'll be good to be caught up and be able to just grind away, play the games, input the stats, and know exactly where everybody's at. So, without using a helper, I'm just enjoying it more for now. So, that's all I got. It's your boy Joe. Hope you enjoyed my chat. Big shout out to Dave Gardner. Great job with the walk-in this week, Dave. Hope you're staying healthy and safe. And I will see you guys next time. I'm gonna try to do this, you know, at least 5 times this week. You know, maybe one day off from the walk, but we'll see how it goes. So that is it. I'll see you later.